A new Disney animated series premiered last week on Disney Plus, titled Iwaju, and this is a different kind of production. Rather than being made by Disney Television Animation, it's produced by Walt Disney Animation Studios, with each episode even opening with the Steamboat Willie logo. It's also a collaboration with Kugali Media, a British African comic book company, and they were reportedly given quite a bit of creative freedom on the series. I've been curious about this since it was first announced all the way back in 2020. So what did I think of it? I think one of the neat things about Iwaju is how much it embraces the Afrofuturist setting. Set in Lagos, Nigeria, the creators put a lot of cultural elements into the show, and as someone with little knowledge of Nigeria, it's great to see a version of the country depicted in animation different from how media usually portrays it. The different types of food we see on the show is especially neat to learn about, and the animators made them look quite appealing. I like that Disney has lately been using some of their animated productions to show us places that are not often represented in animation, whether it's Colombia in Encanto or Polynesia in Moana. There's a lot of creativity in the technology represented here and how they're utilized by the characters. One of the best aspects and my favorite character was a robotic lizard who looks out for the main character, a young girl named Tola. They have the lizard do all kinds of neat things as it scurries through Lagos and we see all of its capabilities. The animation was done by Cinesight. While obviously not as high budget as Disney's feature productions, I thought it was still passable and the characters remained expressive throughout. Although going back to the original concept art that was released when the series was first announced, it does look like the characters were changed a lot to make them appear more Disney-like. But it's worth remembering that animated productions are always evolving as they figure out the best way to make it look visually appealing. The designs are still good and each central character stands out in their own way. Personality-wise, they do all fit into the usual archetypes. We have the plucky heroine who just wants to explore the world, her strict father trying to do what he thinks is best for her, and the bulky villain whose main tactic is intimidation. These are not badly written characters by any means, they're merely simply defined. Who most intrigued me was Tola's scientist father. In the first few episodes, he's depicted as stern and focused on his work, but I felt there was probably more there than what they initially presented him as. While we do find out a little bit more about him, it's not a whole lot. Thematically, Iwaju appears to be largely about the class system, as we see how Tola is kept isolated in a rich father's home and told not to venture outside of her comfortable, privileged existence. There's a contrast between Tola's wealthy lifestyle and the poorer residents of Lagos, and the show depicts how this plays a role in various characters' actions. Tola mostly learns what life is like for people who don't grow up in the same class system. Regarding this aspect, the writers could have easily turned her into a spoiled brat who realizes how wrong she is for looking down on those with not as much money as her. However, they don't do that. While she has some flaws, she is nonetheless a likable enough character, and there's a solid bond between her and a young gardener working at the house. The show's collaborative nature seems evident with the way it mixes the Afrofuturist element with familiar Disney trademarks. For example, Tola's arc of wanting to get out of the rigid walls of her home despite her father disapproving of it feels like a nod to Jasmine in Aladdin having a similar motivation in the beginning of the film. The gardener is even this streetwise youngster who helps her navigate this area of Lagos. The lizard is of course the classic cute animal sidekick, who is in the vein of mostly silent ones like Pascal the Chameleon from Tangled and Creaky from Mulan. However, these aspects don't distract, nor does the show call attention to these similarities to certain Disney movies. Honestly, all of Disney's animated productions take something from earlier films, shorts, and other projects. It's just a part of the DNA of the studio, and they're bound to come up even in a collaboration like this one. Overall, I found Iwaju to be a watchable and brisk 6 episodes, and while I felt the characters could have been fleshed out a little more, and it could have had a stronger finale, there's still a decent amount to appreciate here. It's nice to see a version of Nigeria we don't often see, and I think it's wonderful Disney reached out to Kugali to make this collaboration possible. It makes me wonder if Walt Disney Animation will do more of these international co-productions in the future, with other countries largely underrepresented in animated films and shows. Anyway, if you've seen Iwaju, let me know your thoughts in the comments, and thank you for watching.